This is my survival kit. Knives, rope, tinder to make a fire. It's got everything, but none of it will help me in a recession. This knife will be useless if an uninsured loss wipes out my savings. The flashlight won't show me the way after identity theft. None of this will save my finances. More than 6 in 10 Americans, 62% according to a CNBC Economic Survey, believe we are heading into a recession within the next 6 months. Besides a recession between natural disasters, theft, and loss, there are any number of situations that being prepared means the difference between financial life or death. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use this to help you create a survival kit for your finances. We'll explore the 7 deadly scenarios nearly everyone will face at some point, situations where you'll need to be prepared to save your financial life. Let's look through this to see what we can learn about saving your life that could be used to save your finances. The first thing that caught my attention in the kit, because it's shiny and basically I'm a 10-year-old man-child, the 4x7 emergency blanket, reflecting 90% of your body heat, windproof and waterproof. It will keep you warm while you're waiting for help. When a recession hits or a stock crash before it, you could be waiting months for your investments to rebound. This chart by McKinsey shows bear markets since 1956 have lasted 9 months on average, and stocks have plunged 28% from the peak. That can be a long, painful wait, and many investors panic, selling out of their stocks at exactly the wrong time. So like the emergency blanket to keep you warm, you need some safety stocks in your portfolio. Stocks of companies in the consumer staples sector like Campbell's Soup, General Mills, or Hershey's Foods, all three up 15% so far this year against a crash that has taken the rest of the market down 25%. Other safety stocks include drug makers like Merck and Eli Lilly, along with the utility companies like Constellation Energy. All these companies sell a product people need to buy even in a recession, which means businesses hold up in any market. Now, it's not just recessions, though, that can ruin your financial life. Job loss can happen even in the best of times. Even at an unemployment rate of just 3.5%, a historic low, nearly 6 million Americans are out of work, and 1.4 million lose their jobs each month. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Well, I think this thing could actually be used to hunt elephants anyway. It's not quite the monster in my shadow box, but I guess easier to carry around, and the bottle opener does come in handy. Folks, a knife like this, you have got to treat with respect. It's dangerous, but can save your life in the right situation. It is the same reason you need an emergency credit card in your financial survival kit. And just like knives, credit cards have ended a lot of lives, but it can also be that last source of emergency cash when all hope is lost. That's the short of it, folks. Emergencies call for emergency funds. And these days, emergencies from natural disasters seem to happen every other week. Not 3 weeks after we moved to Tampa, Hurricane Ian was on its way and threatening to level the city. Speaking of hurricanes, FEMA produced an emergency financial first aid kit in 2019. If you want to trust your financial survival to the people it took 5 days to get water to the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, maybe keep watching for your kit. Now, if you're worried about the temptation of spending on that credit card, I shared a tip in a recent video on how to recession-proof your finances. Put your emergency card in a plastic bag, then put that in a dish of water in the freezer. Having your credit card physically locked in ice keeps it available for emergencies, but creates an hours-long thawing period where you'll need to rethink if you really need that treadmill you'll never use. Next, no survival kit is complete without a compass, but I've got to admit, navigation was not my strong suit in the Marines. I get lost in Walmart all the time. But even if you're not Lewis and Clark, a compass is going to point you in the right direction. And if a natural disaster destroys your home along with all your important documents, having copies set aside to point you to that information will save your life. This is a long list of life-saving importance, so I'm going to leave it up here for a while to give you time to write it down. Write out all your accounts along with the website addresses, logins, and passwords. Be sure to include any investing platforms you use, as well as a financial advisor contact if you use one. You'll also want photocopies of all your insurance policies, including medical, dental, property, casualty, and auto, along with the list of the doctors covered. Take photocopies of the front and back of your credit cards so you have the number and security code on the back, along with the customer service number of each. And these can either be photocopies and written lists or digital images on a memory stick, but it all needs to be stored somewhere ultra safe. It doesn't do much good to put paper copies in a drawer in your house if your house burns down. And this next scenario is why I want you to start putting all this together right now. Because while natural disasters may only happen once every few years, theft happens on a daily basis. There were over 1 million burglaries in 2019 alone, according to FBI crime data. That is someone's home being broken into every 25 seconds, 3,300 a day. Folks, I know putting all this together is a giant pain, but this is the kind of thing that you will never get around to doing if you don't do it right now. Hell, I can't imagine a situation where I'll have to use this monstrosity, but if that situation comes, you better believe I'll thank God I had it. Now, one of the first things they teach you in boot camp is the 4 life-saving steps, including stopping the bleeding and protecting the wound. In our survival kit, we've got some alcohol pads, gauze, band-aids, but what would that be in your financial survival kit? What is the first thing you need to stop most financial emergencies from getting worse? Cold, hard cash. Having emergency cash set aside, whether in a fireproof safe or just in an emergency savings account, is the most basic need to your financial survival. Let's be honest here, folks. Nobody likes to think about an illness or a major injury happening, but it does happen, whether to you or a loved one. Hell, even an emergency visit for your dog can be more than $800. Go online, and most so-called experts are going to say you need between 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in case of a financial emergency, but it's that kind of thinking that just keeps people from even getting started. Nation, I do not want you to look at that goal of 6 months emergency cash and then just giving up because it seems impossible. That's why instead I say just start with trying to save 1 month's worth of expenses, a couple of $1,000s to cover those bare necessities in an emergency. When you get there, you can decide to add to it or use the rest to pay down your debt or just start investing, but please do not think that these so-called financial rules are set in stone. Even that $2,000 in emergency cash going to help you stop the financial bleeding long enough to save your life, but you need to get started saving. It took all of about 1 episode of Naked and Afraid for the producers to start giving the contestants a flintstone to make fire. Imagine that. You can survive completely naked in the wilderness, but fire is non-negotiable. Now, I'm not even going to begin to tell you how long it took me to actually get a fire going outside with this flint and tinder, but it is one of the necessities you do not want to go without. And just like that, having the basic level of insurance is a non-negotiable for your financial survival. Whether from a fire, and which ask anyone from California what a fire can do to your home, or any other loss, insurance is the only way to protect yourself from catastrophic loss. No, I'm not going to try to sell you a term life policy, and I don't have any links you can click through to kick me back a commission. I hate insurance as much as you do, folks, but it's something we all need. And these financial fires don't just hit you where you live. In fact, some level of car insurance is required in every state except Virginia and New Hampshire. In most states, you need covered for at least $20,000 in injury liability per person and $40,000 in total bodily injury per accident, as well as $15,000 in property damage liability. And some states even require you to insure against uninsured drivers and personal injury, so make sure you know the limits in your state. And while health insurance is no longer required by federal law, 5 states still require it, and honestly, folks, politics aside here, health insurance is something you need to have. The average cost for an emergency visit is $2,200, and it's going to set you back $2,600 every day you're in the hospital. Medical bills are the #1 reason for filing bankruptcy in the United States, with one study finding 2 in 3 bankruptcies caused by hospital costs. Even if you're one of the lucky few that escaped total loss, how long would it take to pay off a $20,000 hospital bill on the amount you save each and every month? Shop around for insurance, and you can usually get discounts for a higher deductible or premium. Even if your deductible is high enough that it still causes a little financial pain in an emergency, a financially stubbed toe is a hell of a lot better than a heart attack. What's next? We've got a small fishing kit, line, a couple of hooks and lures, and though before moving to the new house last month, it had been years since I've been fishing, it's nice to know that I could still provide for the family in case of a zombie apocalypse. Okay, I doubt we're heading towards an episode of The Walking Dead, but there are over 800,000 cases of assault each year in the United States, and many that go unreported. If I get attacked or injured, my personal financial survival kit means I'll still be able to provide for my family. But can you say the same thing? If you lost your job, would you be able to provide financially for your family? Emergency funds and credit cards only last so long. You need a backup plan and some kind of side hustle or passive income that you can count on to provide. We've got lots of videos on the channel about building passive income or side hustle ideas, and it's something I want to walk you through instead of just giving you that general concept, so I'm going to link to those videos in the description below. This doesn't mean you have to take on a second job or even work at all. There are lots of passive income ideas you can start building with as little as 5 hours a week from an existing hobby, so make sure you check those out. One thing I had to add to my survival kit were my old dog tags. Your identity is something you never think about until it's stolen or lost, and then it's a nightmare getting it back. That's why for your financial survival, you're going to want paper copies of all your important identity documents: your driver's license, social security card, passport, birth certificates, and marriage license. And don't forget the kids' documents too. When I saw this little two-piece screwdriver set, I was like, really? We already have a toolbox. Do we really need two more? But then I thought, what if we can't find the toolbox or it goes missing? Whoever is left during that emergency, they may not be able to find the tools they need, and it could mean their survival. If you handle all the budgeting, bills, and finances in your family, would your husband or wife be able to find them in a financial emergency? In most cases, they wouldn't, and it's going to create chaos on top of the loss they already feel. It may not be for your survival, but you're going to need copies of your current budget, bills, and all investments where someone can find them. Remember the sporks you used to get in lunch in grade school? Harmless but useful in so many ways. Well, this has got to be the most intimidating spork I've ever seen. The survival kit builds this as a 7-in-1 multi-use spork, complete with fish scale remover, bottle opener, knife, spear, survival whistle, and oh yeah, a spoon and a fork. And it's a lot like the core satellite strategy of investing we talk about here on the channel. The spork is about 60% defense and protection, fulfilling those basic needs, but also has some uses that are nice to have but not essential. And the core satellite strategy is similar, with most of your money, between 60 to 75% of your portfolio, in broad exchange traded funds, those ETFs that invest across hundreds of stocks. For example, you might have some of that money in your Vanguard Real Estate Fund, ticker VNQ, or the ProShares Dividend Aristocrats ETF, ticker NOBL. That core part of your portfolio is going to fulfill those basic needs, helping to protect your money in a market crash and getting you the market return over years of investing. But the strategy also includes some room for investments that can take you further. Individual stocks that are nice to have but not essential. You invest the rest of your money, that 40 to 25% of your portfolio, in individual stocks for a little added return. So like that multi-use spork, the core satellite strategy is going to do so many things for your portfolio and your return. Next, the flashlight. There are all kinds of cliches I could use with this, right? Like how it shines a path forward or shows you the light at the end of the tunnel. I think more importantly though, and this is something we relearned personally as New Floridians during Hurricane Ian, is that we need light to know that not all is darkness, because without light, we know nothing. We claw at the darkness for relief, but never get an answer. It's not just physical darkness either, but also online. Online safety and cyber theft are becoming a fact of life and just as common as attacks in the real world. So for your financial survival, that's where basic financial literacy comes in. I know this isn't a defined step that you can take, like putting an emergency credit card on ice or investing in safety stocks, but so many people lack that basic understanding of how money, debt, and investing works. For that, I'm going to link to a few videos in the description below. Please check those out and share them with anyone that needs that financial light. Click on the video to the right for how to invest in a recession, why it's the best time to make money, and how to do it right. Don't forget to join the Let's Talk Money community by tapping that subscribe button and clicking the bell notification.